Welcome for another episode of the Sacred Roots podcast. Today we're going to talk about the magic and the mystery behind the autumn equinox. So, very often we talk about the solstice, the winter solstice, the summer solstice, and these are more celebrated or more brought to our consciousness. But the equinox actually holds a lot of wisdom. And most of you live in cities where there's a lot of light at night, and we can also be quite disconnected from nature and the seasons. And so I think it's important to actually come back to the seasons, the wisdom that each season holds. And when you actually reconnect with the seasons, it brings you back to the earth and it reconnects you with earth based energies, with transformation that is actually happening inside of you because you are the earth. You are a daughter of the earth, and the earth is your mother. And as cyclical beings, as women, we have cycles more than men, but men also have cycles. The earth has her own cycles, her own phases, her own seasons. It's very important for us to recognize that we are also experiencing those seasons inside of us. So the autumn equinox is just around the corner. It's about to happen. Maybe it has already happened while you're listening to this podcast. And you might have had a really busy summer. You know, in summer, the days are much longer. We go out, we see friends, we have barbecues, we're super creative, we go on holidays. Sometimes we come back from our holidays more tired because we've been going out and dancing all night or just looking after the kids all day, which takes also a lot of energy. It's super fun, but quite often at the end of the summer, we are a bit tired. And then we keep that rhythm because we feel that, oh, it's the beginning of the year, it's September, kids are going to school, I have things to do in my business, and we keep going and going and doing and doing. And usually we end up in November or December exhausted because we have lost touch with the rhythm of the earth. We have lost touch with our own inner rhythm. So that's why I wanted to talk about the power of the seasons, and particularly the power of the autumn season and the autumn equinox, because it has a lot of wisdom to teach you. It's a huge invitation for you. All right, let's dive into it. First of all, the word equinox comes from the Old Latin and actually means equal night. So, of course, this refers to the fact that at the autumn equinox and the spring equinox, there's an equal amount of light and dark. The day and the night are exactly the same length, same amount of minutes and hours. And it occurs, of course, twice a year in spring and right now in the autumn. And so, symbolically, the equinox is a moment of balance. Light and dark are in perfect balance, but also feminine and masculine are in perfect balance. And so the light, the sun that was very present until now, is masculine energy. It's all about doing and being out there. And now we are going into the feminine seasons. Autumn and winter are feminine seasons. And our bodies know that. Because at the fall equinox, our circadian rhythm changes, and we naturally are programmed to slow down, to go within, to put on a bit of weight, to want to sleep more. Because there's less light outside, and our bodies are also nourished by light. And so then we need more rest. And so the fall or autumn equinox is actually a special bioalchemical gateway that is going to influence this cycle of darkness that you are entering now. So we might have forgotten that because we live in cities where there's lots of light and where we are disconnected from seasons. But your body knows. Your biomantic body intelligence is still very, very highly attuned to that rhythm, to the earth. And now science is finally catching up and showing that. I'm saying finally catching up because our ancestors have always known that and have always celebrated the fall and spring equinox. If we go and have a look at the Celtic tradition, we see that about 5,000 years ago, they built in Ireland something that we call the Kern tea. It's actually the kern of the Gaelic. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Probably not, with my French accent in English. Not having an Irish accent either. So there's a beautiful womb. It's actually a sacred mount, but it represented the womb. It's a womb portal. It's called the Cairn of the Gaelic. And it's a stone passageway that aligns exactly with the fall and the spring equinox. So what do I mean when I say it aligns exactly with the fall and the spring equinox? Is that it's built with, it's like really a small hill built by humans. And there's a door to enter it. And that door, it's actually more a gateway because it doesn't really have like a wooden door. But at the fall and spring equinox, when the sun rises, the sun touches a very special place, which is at the top end of that stone gateway, of that sacred mount, that sacred womb. And it's going to reach the end of that cave where there are symbols of spirals and wombs and very feminine symbols, actually. Because at the time, we also have to go back to the context. We also have to go back to the spirituality and the traditions that they had at the time. The religions and the spirituality of those traditions were very womb based. They were worshipping the goddess. They were worshipping woman, fertility, the cycles of the earth. It was very earth-based traditions. And so that particular place at the fall and spring equinox, it lights the inside of that sacred mount that is a representation of the womb. And it lights a particular stone that has spirals on it and vulvas and other symbols. And when you know a little bit about symbols, you know that spirals represent regeneration, creation, and birthing. Think about it as above, so below. Our galaxy, and every galaxy is actually in the shape of a spiral. Because of the movement, because of the birthing movement. And galaxies that are in the shape of a spiral are the only galaxies that can birth new planets. When you think about flowers, certain trees, a pine cone, it has the shape of a spiral too. So the fall equinox is inviting us in a phase of regeneration. Because now it's the tipping point where the darkness is taking over the light. We are moving into darkness. We are moving into the feminine. We are moving in a birthing, creative, regenerative process. Mind-blowing, right? That they already knew that. And we've completely forgotten that, but your body knows. And so on the fall equinox, your body suddenly, it's like it clicks on a switch and it changes its inner rhythm. That's why you're actually more tired. Also, because you keep doing so much, we keep living the same kind of rhythm, but we should actually be slowing down. And so, just to finish on this beautiful sacred mound and womb-like passageway that is inviting us to honor those earth-based traditions, this is also called the cairn of the witch, or the cairn of the hag, the womb of Gaelig. And it was modeled on the architecture of a female vulva, womb, pregnant belly that is fertilized by the energy of the sun. Because the sun on that special day is bringing in its magic inside the womb and fertilizing the womb. And these sacred mounds always make us think of the womb because it makes us think of a pregnant belly. If a woman is lying down, it has, a small hill, which is the pregnant belly. But yeah, the pregnant belly. So our ancestors, or these Irish ancestors, knew about this rebirth process and the invitation to go within so that we can create and go in a kind of conception process. So, of course, the fall season that we are moving towards is very connected to the womb, the root chakra, and the sacral chakra. And it's the earth element. Every season is connected to certain chakras, certain elements, and an auric field. And it's also connected to the mental auric field, the mind. So it's inviting us to clear our minds, to let go of what doesn't serve us in our mind, beliefs, fears. It's also connected to the wisdom of the golden years. Spring is really the beginning. Summer is when you're adult. And fall is the wisdom of the golden years. When you're a bit older, you've had some experiences and you learn from it. So what is the wisdom that we can learn at this fall equinox? And how can we make the most of the fall equinox, the magic and the mystery that lies in this very particular moment that we are experiencing right now? Well, it's time to harvest and be grateful. It's time to look back at your spring, at your summer, harvest what you've created, and give thanks for everything that you've received. Because you are at the end of a cycle and about to birth a new one. The Celtic traditions, they know that very well because they actually celebrate the new year on October 31st. So we are now end of September, and in 5-6 weeks, it's actually the Celtic New Year. So now it's time to really sit down, look back on the past cycle that you've just experienced, and harvest the fruits of your labor and give thanks. Nature is also inviting you right now to let go. The trees are losing their leaves. The sun is less and less present. The darkness is coming in more and more. So it's time to go within and to let go of what doesn't serve you. What have you been doing in the past months that hasn't really been supporting you physically, spiritually, emotionally? What are the things that you're doing in your business that don't bring you any joy or energy? What are the relationships that actually drain you more than they nourish you? What are the behaviors that don't support your highest potential? It's time to recognize that, thank it for what it gave you, and then let go. It's also a time to connect with the earth because, like I said, every season is really connected to an element. And the fall is connected with the earth element. The winter is connected with the water. The spring is connected with the air, and the summer with the fire. So now is a moment to connect with the earth It's going to be raining more, but it's an opportunity actually to go outside, connect with the rain. We need water. We are water beings. We are made of 85, 90% of water. Statistics depend. It's going to depend which journal or which person you're talking to, but we are mostly made of water, and we have to honor that water, recognize that we need water for life to continue. So welcome the rain. Thank the rain, because it's going to help you slow down, stay more inside, maybe journal, connect with yourself, and connect with the earth. When you work with the earth, when you garden, when you plant seeds, it's very grounding. So it supports your physical body and your root and sacral chakra that I was talking about earlier. So this is really a period to help regenerate your body from the stress and activities of the summer. It's really a moment to slow down, to pause, to reconnect, and prepare yourself for the darkness of the winter, because darkness has its own alchemy. And I'll talk about that in another episode in 3 months with the winter solstice, because that's a whole other magic. But now you can prepare yourself to that. And actually, the 3 days leading up to the equinox, it's important to take as much light as possible. So when the sun goes up, if you can, go outside. Otherwise, do it from your house, go in front of a window, and for 15 minutes, take in the light of the sunset, and do the same at sunrise. If you can't, because there are mountains around you or anything, at least set the intention when you're connecting with the sun during the day to take in the energy of the sunset and the sunlight. Your body can do that. Your body has that magic. If you connect with the sun with that intention, it can like reposition you in time. Anyways, that's a whole other topic about the magic of our bodies. But you can take in that energy and intentionally send it to your chakras, to your auric field, and to all your organs. Because those 3 days leading up to the fall equinox, it's very important to take as much light as possible into your body, because that is going to define how you are going to feel for the next 6 months. Our bodies, like I said, at the fall equinox, it's like they press on a switch, they go into another rhythm, and the more light you will have taken in before, the better you'll feel during those 6 months, because we are light beings, we are water beings. Now, it's also a time to plant seeds. Energetically, the fall equinox is really a time to think about your resolutions and plant seeds for the new year that is coming in a few weeks. We actually intuitively know this because kids go back to school in September. We start new projects in September. We have new objectives. And that's why quite often when we have new resolutions in January, they don't work. We let them go after a few weeks because it's not the right energy. Your body, your mind, your emotions are really in a cocoon at that moment. You have to set your intentions before. If we compare that to the birth process, you have to set the intention to have a baby first, then you make love, then it works. And then the baby is not visible. We don't see the womb grow, but it's there. It's happening in the womb, in the darkness. You can't tell anyone for the first months, but you can actually if you want. But that we have that culture of not telling people when we're pregnant, more to protect ourselves in case that little soul decides to go back to the other side and not come to the earth yet. But so the first 3 to 4 months, we can't see anything. We can't tell if there's actually a baby. Right? Now we can because we have pregnancy tests that tell us. But a long time ago, not even such a long time ago, We couldn't tell. Women knew that they weren't having their periods, so they had a hint, but the outside world couldn't tell. And it takes some time to be able to see the belly grow, the boobs change, the body of the mother get larger and larger, the ribs open, and then the baby to come. So it's exactly the same. You have to set the intention at the fall so that the winter, there's all the magic happening, and the spring we can start to see and welcome the baby. If you set your intentions when you're in the winter, it's already too late. And it's also a time right now to welcome the water. Like I said, we are water beings. And that means that we are emotional beings. And when we slow down and we sit in more stillness, that's when our emotions rise. So have a journal, observe how you're feeling, write it down, honor it, so that you can really make the most out of this season. So I hope that this episode inspired you and taught you a bit more about the magic and the mystery behind the autumn equinox. And if there's really one thing that you need to remember from this, it's to connect with the light before the fall starts. Harvest everything that you've worked on in the past months. Slow down and start planting seeds for this new cycle. I guess that's not just one thing that I told you to remember. Those are many things. Maybe just choose one. But I guess you got the gist of it. There's a change of energy happening now. Your body knows it. And the more you attune with that, mentally and emotionally align with the wisdom that your body is already moving towards, the easier the season is going to be. And also the more energy you're going to have after when the spring comes back. Happy autumn equinox!